Maria, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Listen, thank you for coming into the studio. We met recently, had some dialogue, and you enlightened me as to, I'd say, a testimony, a personal journey that you've embarked on. I'm blown away by it, and thought, let's get your story out there. Let's have a conversation.
Appreciate that. Yes, let's go.
So, quick question, Maria. Tell me something about yourself before we go into the meat and the kernel of the discussion. Tell me something about yourself. Tell us about this lovely lady that's before us, who looks young, appears young. Tell us something about
I'm
yourself.
not really young, but I'll take that. My name is Maria. Currently, I'm a full-time carer to my daughter, and in the background of that, I'm studying at the same time, doing basically social work, trying to get into that field because of my experience of what I've gone through. And full-time mum, enjoy being my mum to my 6-year-old daughter, basically, yeah.
Well, let's go into the conversation because you've alluded to it straight away. So let's go straight in.
Yeah.
So tell me what happened. Your daughter, an absolutely beautiful 6-year-old girl that I've had the privilege of having some dialogue with. But what happened, Maria? Now you're a mum. You told me that got pregnant, and baby arrives, and then something crazy happens. Tell us what it is.
Literally, I think about 31 weeks in, and I was told, unfortunately, when they did the scan, I had little or minimum amniotic fluid where the baby sits in, and so therefore I'd have to go into an emergency C-section. So I was a bit thrown back. I didn't know what to expect. I'm going into the unknown. The fear of the unknown crept in, and literally when they did a C-section, they literally brought her out, and she cried. So I was quite happy. I was like, okay, everything should be fine. And next thing, they just quickly brought her to me and then took her away into the background. So I was really upset, didn't know what was going on. It wasn't until the doctors came to see me the next day after I was in recovery to explain to me that unfortunately she's got kidney problems. And the way they described it to me, I didn't quite understand what they meant, but basically she's going to need an operation, and she needs a stoma bag because her bowels, there's an issue with her bowels as well. So it was a lot to take in at the time, and I was still going through my C-section, recovering from C-section, as painful as it was, as well as dealing with the information that they had told me. So at that time, I literally was just trusting the doctors, trusting in what they were telling me, as well as telling me, let my family know, praying, trying to keep the faith, and hoping that everything was going to be okay. So it wasn't until we got transferred, I think within the space of 1 week, got transferred to maybe 2 different hospitals. And before I became, to understanding of how serious the situation was. And that's when the whole talk of dialysis came in, which I didn't know what dialysis was. Kidney transplant wouldn't be needed. It was just a lot of information, medical information I didn't understand what all of it was saying anyway. So, eventually we got transferred to Great Ormond Street. This was after we were at Chelsea, Westminster, where she had her first operation at 2 days old. She had to have a stoma bag. There was a lot of health, situation that she had to go take, and she was so small, so tiny, and it was just a lot. I could not understand someone as tiny as she was, because she was premature as well, and the thought of her having to go through all these operations, just took a toll on me. It was just so, I was just constantly crying in tears, just getting everyone to pray, thinking it was all a dream, and just hoping for the best.
So let me ask you a question on that. So you get hospital, you get them diagnosed and saying that basically the kidney's failing, the kidney's not on point, it's not functioning properly. Can I ask at this point, and then how old was you at the time?
I was 36.
36?
Yeah.
So 36, and having to navigate dealing with a child who's got challenges with health, I'm sure the fear of the unknown, not knowing what to do next, etc. Am I correct?
Correct, 100%.
All right, so let's go deeper on it. So at this time, you're alerted that your child's got a condition. I want to bring in an aspect that I hear about regularly in my travels, and it's regarding the response culturally. So how was it responded to culturally? Because I've seen situations where the child is unwell and people are quick to say it's because of some satanic behaviour,
100%.
and it's the devil, or you've done something wrong, or you played with some obia, or some kind of white garment behaviour.
All of that.
So did you have to experience any of that?
100%. I mean, I come from a Nigerian background. Both parents are Nigerian. So you can just imagine what my parents would have been like in that situation. And first of all, it caused a lot of friction because my mum and dad wasn't accepting the fact that my child has got this condition. It's had to be something that I did, whether I didn't pray enough, whether I didn't drink the water that they used to give me when I was pregnant at the time, whether I didn't go to church enough, whether X, Y, Z. And, you know, I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with, hearing all this information from my children, and the situation that you're in, ideally you want your parents to have your support. But at the same time, I've got to understand as well that they're from the Nigerian background, and the culture differences between someone who's from the UK, like myself, being brought up in the UK, being around the UK all my life. They're not going to understand that this isn't something spiritual. I'm not going to accept that it's something spiritual, as much as they can tell me this. Some things just happen, and I had to literally just put away how they thought and just deal with my own feelings, because if I was to take on board everything they said, I don't think we'd ever have a relationship today. You know, they did say some hurtful stuff, I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, I do understand that that's how they've been brought up. That's their culture. They're going to see things, anything negative that is going on, they're going to see it as it's someone's doing witchcraft on you. You're not praying enough. You're not going to church enough. You had to have caused this issue. When in reality, it's just what it is. Situations happen, and this is my reality. This is my situation. I'm going to have to deal with it, literally.
So you're dealing with the complexities of your child having a diagnosis that is absolutely terrifying, scary, concerning, the fear of the unknown. Plus, on top of it, you're having to deal with the layers of you must have done something wrong. You must have done something, played with something, caused this monster, so to speak, because I've heard that referred to. So you've got to deal with those two complexities at the same time. Did that ever put you in a depression?
100%. 100%. Everything kicked in. I just didn't want to be here at one point. If not for the sake of my daughter, with everything I was dealing with then. It was a lot, you can imagine. Someone as being a first-time mother, you're going through this alone, because it's a single mum as well. So I'm dealing with that, and then dealing with my mum and dad not giving me the support that I felt they should have done. Having to rely on like my church family at the time, my friends. It was hard because every time I would speak to my dad, he would always say something negative to me, in which in the end I was just, I don't want to see him at the hospital because it was affecting my mental health. You know, just imagine dealing with what I'm going through medically with my own child, and then dealing with the family, with more so my dad. It was just a lot. I didn't want to be here anymore. I used to blame myself because at the same time dealing with what my dad is telling me, I'm dealing with my own demons within. That I'm dealing with, this is my fault. I should have done this. I caused this. It's to me. So it was a lot mentally. And after a while, I just was like, just wanted to run away from it all. I just wanted to close the door, not deal with my daughter being in the hospital. Just my sister at the time was living in Sittingbourne in Kent, and I actually used to take my bags and go and just not want to come back to the hospital. The hospital constantly be calling me, and you know, it got to a stage where I would be like, I didn't want to answer the phone. I tried to detach myself from my child, which I would always regret, but at the time I wasn't mentally there because it was just negative constantly. And I just had to just try and navigate between my own feelings and trying to be a good mother at the same time, but at the same time dealing with the fact that she might not make it. So I'm dealing with all these emotions, all these feelings, and I just didn't know what to do. I'll be honest, I did not know what to do at the time. I just literally just lent on prayer. I just had to, like, times I'll be crying to God at night time on my knees, begging God, asking him to forgive me for my sins, asking him to please have mercy on me, what I've done, you know. Which at the end of the day, this was my way of dealing with it. Everybody has their own way of dealing with things, but for me, this was my way of dealing with things. And it got to a point where, you know, my mum and dad, they love their grandchild to death. You know, I would never take that away from them. But at the same time, I always try and have an open mind, and not try and see things from my point of view. They're Nigerian, they're in the culture, this is all they know. You know, as much I could hold so much hate towards them, and at the time I did, but I feel like I had to let that go because they're my parents at the end of the day, and I kind of understand that this is how they've been brought up, this is all they know. So it was hard, you know, after everything I went through, I was diagnosed with anxiety, PTSD, you know, all of that I'd never heard of before, but I know it's because of everything I experienced and what I went through. And this is a journey, this is the stage we're at now, where I look at my child and I would not change anything I've gone through for the world. Where we are at now, at the time I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, but where I'm at now, I wouldn't change it for the world.
So here's the question for you. What would you say to mothers between the age of 30 and 45 who sadly didn't expect to give birth and there was complications with their child, that depression, that low mood, the mental health impact, what would you say to that mother who is considering having another glass, considering taking that extra pill, considering saying, you know what, I can't go back to that child, that child's a write-off, it's too challenging. What would you say to that mother?
Hold on to your faith, because that literally, hold on to your faith, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. As much as you're in that dark place, because I know what it's like to be in that dark place where you don't see no end to that journey, I promise you there is an end, because things don't last forever. You can only be in a certain dark spot for a certain amount of time, and at that time you may not know it, because I did not see any get out clause in what I was going through. I thought, this is it. I didn't even look past. Every day when I look out the window and I'll see people walking, I think, how are you just walking casually? The little things would just enter my head, like, how are you walking so casually? I just didn't see no end. But I promise you, I'm a testimony that there is an end. There's a light at the end of that tunnel. And look at your child, they're here for a reason. That, you can't forget the fact that they're here. And just hold on to your faith, because without faith, I don't think I would be here today, literally.
I want to just touch on something, because, in the work that I've done historically, I've sadly come across mothers that are on the edge, mothers that are having to be monitored, supervised, etc. What did the dark day look like?
Oh my gosh.
I know a mother that wouldn't get out of bed for 3 days, wouldn't shower, wouldn't do anything.
All of that plus 100. You just literally want to sit down in your, I don't know what to call it, your pity, if they want to call it that. There'll be days I wouldn't brush my teeth, I wouldn't shower, I wouldn't comb my hair, I wouldn't eat. I would literally just look into the wall and daydream, literally just staring into thin air, just waiting. I don't know what I'm waiting for, I'm just there waiting. And, it got to a point where I didn't want to answer my phone, I would just turn off my phone. I'd literally just want to, I remember just visualizing me just ending it all in one, whether it's a pill, whether it's just jumping myself out the window, going in front of a train. These are dark thoughts, and I had to realize this is demons, this is not of me. I'm not that person. Literally, I'm going through something that I've never gone through before. And, everybody goes through something in life. And this is now what I'm facing to go through. And if they can do it, I can do it. And I also got to remember there's people that love me and like me, and how it would feel not me taking my own life, how it would impact their lives and how they are my family, my initial family. So as much as you're in that dark place, at the same time, you can click out of it. Because there's times when I used to just be thinking about negative stuff, and I used to think, no, my daughter's here, she needs me. What are you doing? Click out of it. And literally, as hard as it was, I just literally just had to remember the fact that she's here. She's here for a reason.
Okay.
I'm here for that.
I'm gonna ask you another question, moving on to your daughter now, because you're going through all of this. And do you know what, can I just say thank you for being so real?
Appreciate it.
There's somebody that's gonna watch this that would want to take their life, that would want to take that pill, that would want to snort that coke, that would want to take another. There's women that are watching this that would definitely.
Suicide is real.
It's real, and it's very rare that you get women, especially of faith, who've had a testimony that would talk so candidly and so openly. So honestly, I admire that. And for anyone watching, my hope is that you can reach out to, or they can reach out to you, or be inspired by this. So we get to the point now where you must have been in a place where you're on social media, and you told me that one day you was on Clubhouse. Tell me what happened. Tell me that moment, that moment. I'm sure you would have asked your question, am I a donor? Is my family members a donor? Can any of them donate something to help your daughter?
The minute I found out, it got to a point, I remember I was at Greenwood Ormond Street, was in NICU, because she spent a lot of time in NICU. And the kidney doctors, surgeons would come and see me, just tell me about the journey, X, Y, Z. And then the minute one of the surgeons sat me down and said to me, look, going forward, she's going to need a kidney transplant. It didn't register in my head at first, because I'm thinking, this doesn't happen to me. What do you mean a kidney transplant? You hear about these stories on the television, on the news. So when that becomes your reality, the first thing you do is, okay, where am I going to get this from? How am I going to ask this?
It's not like you can
It's
go
not
to
like I'm
Tesco.
asking for like
Yeah, it's not like you can
a
go to
five.
Tesco and get something and
Yeah,
or you're asking
you
someone to
know,
lend you £10.
it's I need a, you know. So I thought to myself, number one, I was not, I wouldn't say ashamed, but I was a bit or embarrassed about my story or what I'd gone through. You know, I guess within the Black community especially, you're told not to put out the certain parts of your life, or because there's bad people out there, you know, who may wish on this on you. And it's always, maybe it's in the Nigerian culture as well, just don't put too much out there about yourself because you don't know who's wishing badness on you and X, Y, Z. So I was a bit hesitant at first. And so it got to a point where I needed help. I needed a kidney. I myself got tested. I wasn't a good match. My mum at the time, because of her age, she was like, please, you can have my kidney, but she's of age, she's got health, she's got diabetes, so it wasn't going to work. My dad as well, he's got diabetes. He's not got diabetes, but he's just of age, he's old. And then my sister as well, I know she wanted to help as well, but she was pregnant at the time and she was going to have more kids, so they advised you not to. My other sister, she's got her own health complications. So even my cousin came to get tested, bless him, he wasn't a match. So other friend of mine got tested, she wasn't a match. So you've done what you can do within your circle, you know. So Clubhouse was an app that I used to use just to bypass time. Like I said, I was living at Great Ormond Street in that room with my daughter.
You lived at the hospital?
I lived there. Morning, they used to come in and be like, this is my little mini flat. Literally, I had all my clothes, all my stuff.
Wow.
We had I was living there. So I remember I used to go on Clubhouse as a social media app, especially during lockdown, that was my little,
Pass the time.
Yeah, just to pass some time, my little escape, I would call it. But again, I would never discuss what I was going through on the app. I never discussed these times. I could be going through an operation with my daughter that same hour. I'll be talking normally. No one would have a clue what I was going through. And I just remember there was a room, it was called the Over 30. So everyone in there was of age. We're just talking about general, maybe celebrities, football, lifestyles, everything that's going in today's world. Just talk about this one day in particular. They was talking about blood, donating blood and sickle cell and other things just within the Black community. And it was very negative, I'll be honest with you. They were very, nah, God gave us two kidneys. Why would I go back to God when I die with one kidney? Or God gave us 2 arms, or why would I want? It was just very all of that, X, Y, Z. So imagine sitting in your bed. My daughter's just had her operation by the side of her, so she's recovering. Nurses coming in and out. And I was just listening to them, and especially knowing I needed a kidney for my daughter. I couldn't sit there and just hear all this negative talk and not express how, because it was not annoying me, but it was just frustrating that guys, so anyway, this one day in particular, I just decided to open my mouth, and I don't usually talk on stage because I just like to listen, so I don't really talk on stage, I'm not very vocal like that. So this one day I decided just to share my story. I just shared, I went in, I told everybody that, just basically about my daughter needing a kidney transplant and hearing people that they wouldn't donate blood. My daughter at that time, I think she had about 6 or 7 blood transfusions. And I was explaining to them that, if not for people who gave blood, my daughter wouldn't be here, that donating blood saved my life. As much as you guys can sit here and say, you would never donate, there's people like myself who need blood transfusions, people with sickle cells, people with other Black diseases that are around. These are things that are saving us. So for you guys to be so negative on it, because it's not your own experience, I don't think you should be talking so negatively about it. So everybody was just like, they couldn't believe my story, that you're going through this, like, Maria, how, X, Y, Z. And literally the response I got afterwards was just amazing. Everybody was messaging me, and people came forward like, I heard your story and I want to know, is there any way I could get tested or help? At first I'm like, this is a room that was full of negative, but once I shared my story, everybody was like, wow, I want to help. And literally, people came forward and wanted to get tested. I didn't believe it at first, because I'm just like, okay. But when I actually sent them the forms and they filled out the forms, they were constantly calling me. I was like, wow. all of this just from me telling my story has caused all this. So all this time I could have, spoke out about what I'm going through, but I didn't. So it made me realize the fact of sharing your story, the impact it can help on other people, and the importance of sharing what you're going through, that you're not alone. There's people out there that want to help, that can help, but they don't know how to. And literally, it was like a light bulb moment for myself. I was just like, if I had been speaking, because I'd been on this app for maybe 3-4 years, and I was going through what I was going through privately, and I kept thinking, if I had spoken up back then, maybe this would happen, maybe that, and I didn't. And again, it was a light bulb moment for me to realize that telling your story, there's people out there that need to hear your story, that can relate and want to help. So why sit in silence?
Tell me about the day that you got the call that you had a match.
Oh my goodness gracious me. So we were in a paired scheme. It's called a kidney pair scheme. So basically, where all my donors I had weren't matches for mine, you could be in a shared scheme where there's other families like myself who matches aren't suitable for them. So you do a cross match. So my donor will go to there and their donor will go to mine. So it happens once every 3 months. So you're on a pool. So the first time, when I got the call, they said, unfortunately, there's no match. You have to wait another 3 more months. Dialysis. Oh, here we go. Cool. The second time, I was praying. I said, yes, please, this has to be us. Got all my family to pray, fast, just trying to do everything. And we got the call. Oh, heartbreaking. I'm so sorry, Maria, I had to tell you it's not a match. Okay, it's fine. It means that I just kept saying, it means God is letting us know this is not your time. It's not your time. This kid is not for my child. I just had to take the positive out of the good. So on the final time of it, when I got the call, was we were filming at my house with I think BBC at the time, just doing about Destiny's journey, X, Y, Z. But little did I know, they knew that we got a match, that I got a match, but I didn't know. So literally, it was caught on film anyway. The girl Liffy, who's like literally the best. I call her my angel because she saved my life, or my child's life. Anyway, she came forward. She was the one that got the news and said to me, Maria, I've got something to tell you. I was just like, we're trying to do filming, like, not now, you can tell me afterwards. And she basically just said to me, I got a call and we've got a match. I literally just burst into tears. I just cried. I literally cried. I was just hugging her, just thanking God, just crying, and it was the best day of my life, I'll be honest with you. That feeling, it was the best, because you waited so long for something like this. And at one point you start to feel, oh, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. But when that feeling actually came and you got that call to say yes, honestly, there was no feeling like it. It was the best thing ever.
Now, I'm going to fast forward, because like with soap operas and films, you have to go through the real dark part to get to the lovely story where John Wayne turns up at the end, bang, bang, or the hero turns up. So we get the match. Destiny has an operation. You met Kai Havertz from Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
How was that experience like? I've seen you all over telly, your story. Then you got to meet an Arsenal footballer.
I'm a big Arsenal fan, so it was amazing. I mean, I was just like, wow. He wanted to meet Destinyrae, and somehow the organisations that were involved made it happen. And yeah, it was amazing. He played with her for a while in the soft play area. He was just talking to us and asking us our experience and how proud he is of her. And
Did you get his number?
His number? No, I didn't.
You didn't ask him?
No.
You didn't say to him, lend me a 20?
No, I didn't. He was there with his wife. No.
So what? You said to him, give me a 50?
I'm not going to do that.
Do you know how much he earns a week?
Yeah, crazy money. But
yeah, you should
the
ask
fact
him.
he heard our story, he knew my daughter's name, that was enough for me.
Kai Havertz, if you get a chance, we will tag Arsenal in on this, but Kai Havertz, if you've got a chance, a little tight, listen, you should have at least drop a little 100.
Oh my God.
A little gift, you know what I mean? A little gift.
No, it's fine. The fact we met him was enough for me. And he knew my daughter's name.
You're not real Nigerian.
Destinyrae.
You're not real Nigerian.
Maybe
real
I'm
Nigerian
not.
would have said, oh yeah. Dip.
Maybe I'm not. I don't know.
Well, there's another thing I want to touch now. You've opened up a foundation recently.
Yes, I have.
And what have you called the foundation?
The Destinyraefoundation.
Right. And what is your ambition for this? What is your ambition for the foundation?
Okay, it's literally to spread awareness, because after speaking to like I said, when I got all these messages, there's a lot of people that want to help. They just don't know where to go.
Right.
They don't know how. They don't know what to do. There's a lot of, because even when people are talking to me, they said, there's people that have said to me that this has been a life dream of theirs, to help.
Yes.
Whether it's a kidney, whether it's a bone marrow, whether it's blood, but they just don't know where to start or where to go. And I feel like with what we've gone through, we've got a story. We're at the other end of it all now, and we're at a place of where, like Destiny, she's 6 now. She knows what's going on. She knows that she's got in her, like she says to me, "Mommy, I've got 3 kidneys," because she has got 3 kidneys. She's still got her main 2 kidneys, and she's got the transplanted kidney. So she knows what's going on. She knows what's going on with her body, and she knows when she was on dialysis, why she would have to be on dialysis. And I feel like this eventually, I want her to take over the whole. And I just think she'll be, she'll be amazing at it, you know. And like I said, it's more about raising awareness, a safe place for people who are going through maybe dialysis or organ donors, a place where everybody can come together, reach out, talk, meet other families like myself who've gone through this, and just basically share knowledge, share experiences, and just literally just about and how important it is of giving blood and just giving and saving a life. And that's literally what I'm doing. And
recently you've had dialogue with the ACLT, the African Caribbean Leukemia Trust, right?
Yes,
which is an awesome organisation. I will say it on here because they'll be tagged in this. But you would say to the black community, please give blood, right?
100%, please, because there's people that are on a basically waiting list, and it's because there's lack of black donors. Right. And I don't know if it's down to our culture or what we've been, brought up on, you know, but it's literally just giving blood and saving lives. What can be more precious than that? Absolutely.
You know, I think of it, and I think my parents are Jamaican, and I know to ask them for a hot drink, sometimes it's like you're asking them to give a foot.
Literally.
But I would encourage people, give blood, just like with Destiny Rae. Now she's got a life where
she's had about 5, 6, 7 blood transfusions, you know, and if not for the people that gave blood, she wouldn't be here today. And again, and that's why even myself, I give blood once every 4, 5 months, it is, because of I know the impact my blood can have on people. Yeah. It could save a life. So it's like an ongoing cycle. If more of us can do this, it'll be a continuous cycle where we're saving lives, especially within the black community. And there's so many children, especially that I know personally, that are needing a kidney, needing a liver transplant. One of my good friends, their child is going through this right now, needing a liver transplant. You know, and it's just the impact of what we as a nation, black people, can do for our own community. I don't think that's asking too much.
Wow. I'm looking forward to speaking to you again in about a month's time or a couple of months from now, because there's going to be a launch. There has to be a launch for the foundation.
Oh, there has to be. They will.
But we're really proud of you.
Thank you.
We will put your email address in. You'll see the email address come up on screen around now, and we're looking forward to hearing more about it. But you started the fire, and let's keep the conversation going.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Foundation.
Now, donating an organ to save a friend or a relative's life is perhaps one of the most special and selfless decisions that anyone can make.
Broccoli, what do you think?
She's been having dialysis 3 times a week since she was 10 months old because her kidneys don't work. Added together, that's more than 6 whole months of her young life rigged up to the machine.
She won't stop watching herself on TV.
What's that like to see that moment again?
Oh my gosh, it's like, I can't believe it.
We're gonna have some good times with good friends, making good memories. A little bit of sunshine and good vibes, yeah, that's all we need. And we ain't gonna worry, ain't in a hurry, everything is going our way. We're gonna have some